All right, welcome back to part two of the Pro Football Doc podcast. This is really our season kickoff to 2021 as camp start, fantasy drafts in full swing. This is the more fun portion. Our special guest, the discussion. If you didn't want to hear it, we broke it up into two parts. And hopefully you saw that I wasn't trying to preach, just giving you some opinions, etc. All right, the funner part of the Pro Football Doc podcast, we'll talk about some fantasy draft issues, some recovery issues, and analyze some video. We actually have a fun video to analyze outside the box a little bit. But before we get started with that, let's talk about HIPAA. First of all, HIPAA, HIPAA, not PPA. It's very common. Health Information Portability and Accountability Act, 2 A's. HIPAA, Dak Prescott declined to say he got the vaccine, pointing to HIPAA, but he believes the team will reach the NFL vaccine threshold. Look, I agree with Dak. It's a free country. He can choose not to say. That has to do with his personal privacy. But that has nothing to do with HIPAA. Zero to do with HIPAA. HIPAA is for covered entities related to third parties. Dak is free to talk about vaccination status or not. He's free to talk about his ankle or medications or not. But it's not HIPAA for him to say that they shouldn't ask him about it or he doesn't want to talk about it. They're free to ask him about it. It has nothing to do with HIPAA whatsoever. HIPAA has to do when a doctor or an insurance agency or whatever can't talk about your medical records and share them. But personal privacy supersedes HIPAA, and Dak and anyone else can do what they want. But it's not HIPAA. And by the way, for those of you who think, well, how does the NFL get away with saying knee questionable or knee out? Isn't that HIPAA? No. Because A, the NFL is not a covered entity under the HIPAA laws, and B, with the collective bargaining agreement, the union agreed to give up the right for players' medical information, A, to be shared around the league with electronic medical records, but when appropriate, but B, to do these injury reports. You think CBS or ESPN or Fox are committing a HIPAA violation when they say, Patrick Mahomes not returning to the game today due to whatever injury? No, it's not HIPAA. The CBA covers that, and the covered entities and third parties, that's just not how it works. So wanted to put that part to bed. But let's talk about some injuries and things. Some questions. Amari Cooper, DeMarcus Lawrence. Look, I think Jerry Jones is good for the game, but Dr. Jones, when he talks about medical stuff, I think that's where they're for me. It's not always clear what he's talking about. Dr. Jones, Jerry, is the ultimate spin master. Look, I'd love to work with Jerry Jones, work for Jerry Jones. I think he takes care of his people and he's trying to get his team to win. But there's spin involved with what's going on. For example, in DeMarcus Lawrence, I think there was something out there where he had a cleanup back surgery months ago. Here he is working out a little bit gingerly. And Jerry Jones saying he and Amari Cooper won't be till after preseason game 2. Well, I think you read between the lines, it's obvious that he's not saying they're going to be ready preseason game 3. He's saying that not going to camp at Thousand Oaks because that's when they break camp. That's all he's saying. And what exactly is a cleanup back surgery? It's not a knee scope. It's not an ankle scope. So I don't even know what to make of the DeMarcus Lawrence report there. So suffice it to say, it will be after the second preseason game. They're not going to camp at Thousand Oaks, Amari Cooper or DeMarcus Lawrence. And remember, Jerry's had his spin. I mean, let's go back to the Jalen Smith issues where he's going to be great. and I said he's going to miss the first year and more. He missed the first year, he had a poor second year. He did have a nice resurgent third year, and he got a nice contract. But they never figured out he can't move in space, and people know how to play him now. And now he's back a little bit on the outs. But Jerry Jones the whole time has been greatest kid, great this, everything's perfect. He is a great kid, but medically he isn't there. Something else, J.J. Watt, Cardinals. It's a cool looking picture. But, this is clearly for media. Unless J.J. Watt developed a medical condition where he can use the shield, he won't be using it with the Cardinals, and I think you can acknowledge that. Moving on to some other news, Michael Thomas. Well, first of all, let me tell you this. Whenever I make a mistake, I hope you guys know, hey, I make mistakes, just ask my wife. Look, I try to own up to them. I've always said all I can do on video, we're in the mid-90s. We're never 100%. And people kind of jump on me and stuff. Look, I said with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and we'll cover that in a second here, but whenever there's a mistake, I try and own up to them. But look, I made a huge mistake myself. This year, I think I'm overextended, though. Last year, I got a taste of the drafts. My first fantasy contest ever was Scott Fishbowl 10. Thank you, Scott Fish. Really enjoyed it. I kind of got to learn the scoring system. We had a great group of people, Dinosaur Toys that included Stephania Bell, had lots of fun. People in that group made fun of me because I was going zero running backs. I really wasn't going zero running backs. I was like, I don't know what I was doing, let the draft fall to me. Luckily, Patrick Mahomes at 1, Tyreek Hill stack at 2, and Aaron Rodgers with his resurgent year at 3 saved me, allowed me to win the league. But I had my issues. I picked Zach Ertz, and he didn't do a whole lot. I didn't realize his contract situation. Odell Beckham tore his ACL. Julian Edelman didn't finish the season. I didn't make it that far in playoffs, but at least won the division, the league, whatever you call it. This year, I'm Scott Fishbowl 11, doing Warrior Bowl, and which the draft is going on, and Raz Bowl. And in Warrior Bowl, I made the mistake of picking Michael Thomas. Yes. And then a few hours later, Rappaport brings out the news, and I blame Ian. And Ian, if you're listening, Rap Sheet, you let me down. Why don't you report the June surgery like a couple hours earlier? Then I wouldn't have chosen Michael Thomas. I assumed the ankle injury was behind him. They knew about it week 1. It bothered him all year. I thought the ankle surgery would be behind him and he'd be fine. But Ian, I blame you for being late. I mean, just now reporting this June surgery. So I ended up having to pick Michael Thomas, and now I'm chasing. But there is an explanation for it, and we talk about it in this article. Nick Underhill actually covers it and talks about it. But here's what I would typically do. For a player like many players need off-season surgery potentially. So I would tell a player who maybe needed a simple ankle scope, okay, it's January or late January. You can wait till March. You can wait till May. We can look at you at OTAs. We can look at you at mini camp. And if you're still not right, we can do a cleanup ankle scope after mini camp in June and still have you ready for the regular season and training camp. But if you have an ankle repair, ligament repair surgery, as Michael Thomas was supposed to have, I might give you only till March to wait to see if it will get better, not June. And as it turns out, it seems like that's what happened. That's what Nick Underhill is reporting, which is he was told by a specialist he could wait till March. But who knows? Was it contractual issues? Was it delay? Was it another opinion? I don't know. But he ended up waiting. In any case, I drafted him, and things were getting tense in 2020 between the Saints and Michael Thomas. The fact that the surgery was delayed until June won't make things any less tense. Anyways, we'll have to, I think Michael Thomas will miss a significant part of the season. many weeks, maybe even half the season, if not more. It's an ankle ligament repair. 4 months is even a tad optimistic. So we'll see. Well, hopefully he can do well, but we'll see. All right. Joe Burrow, let's talk about happy news. For those of you who saw Joe Burrow, he is full go for training camp, no restrictions. And the video that I had here from back at the time of injury, I was optimistic. Even though it was an ACL, an MCL, and his kneecap. And he is now listed by Zach Taylor as a full go. So that's certainly good news. Glad that one has worked out. Not so well for Bud Dupree yet. When there was a lot of video on Bud Dupree, people talked about, oh, how he's doing great. Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's doing great. But that video clearly, and we can look at it here, and we talked about it before on this podcast, he was favoring it. Let me see if I can find the video for you. Here we go. I mean, many says he looked healthy here. Let's see. And we pointed out at the time how he's favoring his right side. He's got more weight on his left side, even though he's doing well. And then when he starts running here, you'll see him favoring the left side as well. I mean, he's doing great. I think he's going to contribute. But he looks great. But to me, he's favoring his right side there. With the left side, he's got more weight on. In any case, I think he'll be okay. But look for Bud Dupree to be stronger in the second half of the season. The Titans know what they're doing. They're not worried about. Remember, they drafted Jeffrey Simmons coming off an ACL because he was valued for them, and he's done very well. So not a big deal as far as I'm concerned. Let's talk about something fun here. Ring ceremony. This is almost, as we get into video analysis, this is picture analysis. Is it just me, or does Devin White have the smallest hands in the world? Or is this the biggest ring in the world? I mean, it's almost as big as his watch face, right? But it does look like he's got small hands in that picture, but that is a huge, huge ring. All right, finally, I want to cover a topic. Let's talk about Tom Brady. We'll make him the subject of some fun video analysis, not quite the injury analysis. Yeah, we talked about news about Tom Brady with his MCL. If you follow along, I said it's just not possible that he played on a completely torn MCL. And we talked about it last time and this time. But let's review what's more impossible. Is it more impossible for Tom Brady to do this? Take a look at this video. Most of you probably seen it. Throw into a moving jugs machine and throw it so perfectly that it sticks. I mean, the jugs machine, and then 3 times in a row, just like that. I mean, Tom, that is great, great content. And you're the GOAT. But that's more improbable than you playing with a completely torn MCL. And Tom didn't put that out there. Other people did. Neither is possible. And we can go over why again. First of all, understand this is a spinning, moving jugs machine. How does the ball not just get kicked out immediately? Unless it's a remote control jugs machine. But I was amazed at the number of people that really thought that this was real. It was interesting to me. So we talked about Tom Brady being the GOAT, but a completely torn MCL doesn't work. You can go back and read the articles. We talked about this video, but here's where this is debunked. Okay, we talk about his victory parade. That would stress the MCL. You couldn't do that on his left knee. And that's just a knee sleeve right there. That's not a metal stay brace. Lots of reasons why this video shows that it's not a torn MCL. But here's the ultimate conclusion. Neither's true. He didn't play on a torn MCL, and that jugs machine wasn't real. Take a look at this. This guy, I guess, is some sort of genius in videos. He's got the Tom Brady video posted here. What else does he have? He's got other videos, but check out this Tom Brady video. I mean, nobody thinks that's real, right? And if you really get down to it, neither is this Jugs video, but it's just very good loop editing or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Obviously, this guy's pretty cool. He's got Will Smith. He's got all these people doing stuff. But this video is even posted right on his front page here, the Tom Brady video. So this is obviously some creative loop editing and what have you. Sorry, Tom. Anyways, you're still the GOAT, with or without a completely torn MCL season, with or without throwing into a Jugs machine. You put out great content. Love you for it. This is it for Pro Football Doc Podcast today. Pro Football Doc Podcast. Follow along, YouTube, video, whatever. Hopefully you like the guests this off season. No more guests coming into the regular season. There's always too much content. Next week we'll focus on some fantasy draft analysis. Team reports coming out. Go to profootballdoc.com. And in the coming weeks, we have some very exciting announcements about where we're headed this season and new things. I think you've seen some of our new and different content related to basketball and other things, but we're going to have some deeper dive and new content for you as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being loyal. Pro Football Doc Podcast. Appreciate you.